Hey guys, Alberto here, and still in shock, to be honest. Welcome to an Alberto sports talk. It is, while this is going up, the Saturday, the day before Super Bowl 55, playing in my backyard, and this is just gonna be about this is just gonna be like a short little Super Bowl episode, and actually we'll talk about a little bit in the football world because outside of that, there's not really a lot of sports going on right now. Literally, hockey hasn't had a lot of big news to talk about. Lightning's playing well; they're actually playing right now. My TV, the cable I have, does not have the Fox Sports networks anymore that they're on, so or baseball. So I'm currently looking into just streaming it, trying to find a way to stream it myself legally, obviously. But let's talk about the trade that happened with LA and Detroit earlier this week. Um, Honestly, this is probably what I want to say. Like, who cares? Outside of the first round picks, which by the way are for next year and the year after, not even this year because they don't have. LA does not have this year's draft because they traded up to go get Goff. I believe. No, they traded it to get Jalen Ramsey. That's what it was. And there's two sides of the story. You can first look on LA side, where you have a quarterback who's been great in spurts when he needs to be, and was just this far off from winning a Super Bowl. And you had Stafford, excuse me, Stafford on the other side, who great quarterback. Just on a crappy team for darn near what, a decade? I think the 2010 class. Hold up. Matt, because that was another. That was another Georgia guy, right? Stafford's, yeah. Stafford's definitely a Georgia guy, right? I forgot he was born here. Yeah, he's another Georgia's guy. Um, just look. If we look at this, is how we're going to view Matthew Stafford's career now. If we think he's as good as a quarterback as he's shown, because let's face it, he has like a bunch of comeback victories, and he's only had Calvin Johnson as a great what's it called? As a great player. Like, you had Sue on the defensive side, but other than that, like, offensive wise, he only had Calvin Johnson. And I guess you can make an argument for Golden Tate. Golden Tate stepped into the number one overall when Calvin retired. And then there was Pettigrew was the tight end. Who was it? Was it? The guy from Good Morning Football. Oh, I love hearing him talk. Oh my god, I forgot his name. Oh no, I forgot his name. I completely forgot. Oh my god. Toe drag swag. Nate Burleson. I. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like, Bear Sandals was before his time. Like, he has not had a lot of talent around him to push to the next step. Like, I don't remotely remember what's it called? Him being in the playoffs at all. And that's the only thing that's like concerning. And they have it by season. That's wild. Yeah, multiple Pro Bowls. It looks like doesn't have all his accomplishments on here, which is weird. And they have a lot of college. Oh, he only made the Pro Bowl once. Huh, interesting. Oh, 09, I was close. I was really close. What else? Who else was in that draft? Hold up, wait a minute. Who else was in that draft? Oh, good. Darius Hayward Bay? Crabtree? Pettigrew? Wait, Pettigrew was the same draft? That's wild. Marco Orr, yeah, I remember that. Clay Matthews, Vontae Day. I can keep going, actually. Wow, this was a bad draft. I think. Oh, God, that was a Josh Freeman draft. Oh, no, that was a Josh Freeman. Robert Ayers was in this draft. Oh, God. Actually, no, wait. There's 3 good players. And when I mean good players, I mean good players. Oh, God, this was the Sanchez draft. Oh, God. Alex Mack, Clay Matthews, and then Stafford. I didn't even realize Chung was a 2nd round pick. That's wild. There were better players that were picked in the 2nd round. LaShawn McCoy. Freaking Patrick Chung. Where is that? I just saw his name. James Laurinaitis. Like, wow. LaShady McCoy. Sean Smith. Just wow. Who was even the 2nd round pick for the Bucs that year? I think we had one. I think we traded that pick. Huh. Oh no, yeah, we did trade that pick. We traded up to get I just saw it. Where is it? No, we didn't. I don't remember. Anyway. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Stafford and Goff. Goff has pretty much proven himself. The question is, for Goff now, is if they can draft around him, which clearly, honestly, they haven't been able to do. Let's be real. I don't even remember what happened after this draft with Detroit. Mainly because it was none of my concern. But like, still. Like, what? Jared Cook was a 3rd round pick? Roy Miller. Oh boy, I'm getting distracted here with just I need to go back and look at all these drafts. This is wild. But Goff needs to prove that no matter what he is around him, he can be a good QB. Because I guess you could say that's like the ultimate system QB is if you have the talent around you, you'll do great. But if you don't, then you're not even doing like good level. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but they kept saying Brady was a system quarterback. There was a system that he could play with anyone around him. That made him good, but he was great in spurts when you had guys like Randy Moss, Julian Edelman. That's really it actually. But when you look at like, and Tampa's a different thing, but this is going to be a defining moment in honestly both of their careers. And A, that gets rid of a lot of cap space issues with LA, and B, this gives Stafford a chance to like cement his own legacy, and I think that was probably the more important than anything else. Oh wow, TJ Lang was a 4th round pick. I am back to it. So it's Super Bowl time. Now it's pretty obvious who I'm going for. Let's just do that for now because my hair is awful. But I honestly do think when I pick teams to win games, I look at this objectively. So let's go from the outside going in. Let's start with the offensive line. Let's look at Tampa's offensive line. Overall, they've done pretty well, especially in the playoffs. They kept Tom Brady relatively clean, and arguably the first 2 games of the playoffs, they were facing arguably the 2 best pass rushing defenses. People can say Green Bay is good too. I don't think they have the star power. Like, they get production out of their pass rush, but not as much like star power, if that makes sense. They didn't have to face 4, almost 5, pretty much first round draft picks on defensive line like they did with the Washington football team. They didn't they protected against guys against like, I always forget their names, like Alex Anzalone, Trey Hendrickson, which came off this season, who started actually to show off this season against the Buccaneers in game 1. I always forget his name. Cameron Jordan, which is arguably one of the top 5 pass rushers currently right now. I think he plays at D tackle, but he moves around the defensive line a lot, so he does whatever defensive line. That's why the term pass rush exists now, instead of just defensive tackle and defensive ends. You can line up anyway depending on the techniques. We're going a little too deep. Brady's been kept relatively clean. Rushed sometimes, yes, that's what part of the 3 interceptions was, but we'll get into that later. But relatively clean. On the other side, with Kansas City, you have just a huge shakeup. I think they announced a couple days ago that they were going to reshuffle the offensive line and try to put like the best guards and stuff in Patrick Mahomes' blind spot stuff. So that takes a lot of continuity. Like, especially with backup players, like it's going to be really awkward for them to get that continuity. And for offensive linemen, just having that solidarity, that trust, and the guy next to you to pick up a block or know where his assignment is means a lot. And I think that doesn't happen as effective as. So I'm going to give the edge to Tampa. Then, guys behind the offensive line, the quarterbacks. Let's look at Kansas City, since we looked at their offensive line last. Patrick Mahomes is a freak of nature. Absolute freak of nature, right? You can throw the ball 80 yards down the field on his back foot, for Pete's sakes. He thrives. He can beat your ass in the pocket. Hold on, let's back up. He can pick apart defenses if he has enough time in the pocket. And if he's forced to roll out, he's still like one of the best. Like, Stafford may have had a lot of a lot of the no-look passes every now and again that doesn't get talked about, but Mahomes, the Mahomie, like, darn near perfected it, right? And then you have the other side of Tom Brady. Tom's known as the GOAT or whatever. Usually very accurate, gets the ball out of his hands, not as mobile. He has different approaches to that, like just taking the sack, just, hey, you got me, whatever, next play. 10 tries to throw the ball away, which was one of the interceptions in the NFC Championships against Green Bay. I think he was trying to throw it out of bounds, but didn't get enough on it because I think he was going off his back foot or whatever because he was getting pressured. And he went, but next to 2 defenders, but it was really close to the sideline, which is why I think he was trying to get it just out of bounds, and he just didn't have enough in there. The reason why is he had to have a receiver in the area, obviously, because I believe he was still considered in the pocket. Regardless, excuse me, I would have to give the edge to Patrick Mahomes just because he is doing so many things so well at his point in his career, being 25. He's my age, being at 25. I have to give the edge to him, if we're going to be honest here. Like, Brady can still shuck it down the field with relative ease. He can still be accurate as heck, but he can do everything. whereas Tom is more of a pocket passer, and that's why I would have to give the slight chance to Patrick Mahomes. And we'll go to the running backs, right? It's weird because both teams do running backs do two different things. We'll start with Tampa. Playoff Lenny, who has getting more bulk of the carries in the playoffs, originally due to Ronald Jones having a hamstring issue, I believe it was, or a knee, I can't remember. Who ended up earning a lot of the starting because he's more of the all-around back and catch it out of the backfield and stuff, which is a lot of what check-down routes that Brady likes to run. And he has, especially during big-time games in the playoffs, hence the name Playoff Lenny, could bust a play like that he did in the NFC Championship, where he just bounced off and hurtled over his own guy after taking down a defensive lineman, bouncing it to the outside. I think he was going through the B gap originally before he bounced it outside after that hurdle, getting the edge and basically putting his shoulder down and mulling over two guys in the end zone for a touchdown, right? And then you have Ronald Jones, who can just run in between the tackles and just go, right? And on the other side, you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's another one of those all-around backs. Le'Veon Bell, who's not like what he used to be. I'm going to be honest, he's not. Like, if you want to talk about receivers catching the ball out of the backfield, that was Le'Veon Bell's, like, huge thing back when he was in Pittsburgh, and even a little bit in the Jets, although his Jets was just, like, literally a shadow of his former self, but he's not what he used to be. And I think the other guy who's the actual number 2 spot on the running back depth roster is Damien Williams, who's definitely had spurts. It's just really hard because you can't, as much as I'm not describing Kansas City's running backs well, they all the main 2 running backs on both teams have shown enough promise to consider to be starters. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is more consistent. He's younger. He's a lot more explosive, so he would gets a start. I'm gonna call it a tie. So right now we have a complete tie on both ends, right? You got one win here in the offensive line with Tampa. You got one win here with quarterback, and then you have a tie running back. So let's do the receiving core, and I'm including tight ends as well. This is tough. Sammy Watkins is supposed to... Let's start with Kansas City again. Sammy Watkins is supposed to be trying to make it back, which, if he does, I don't think he's going to be 100%. We'll say he's in at 80. You have Tyreek Hill, who is a speedster that could beat you with his feet. He can take a 5-yard wide receiver screen or whatever and burn you for 80. That's how fast and talented he can get. That's how, like, his center of gravity. There's a lot to unpack for Tyreek Hill and how he just runs as an individual and what he does after the catch. Which is, he's the best in the league, let's be honest here. Then you got, Travis Kelsey, where one of the best tight ends in the league right now, especially since he looks a lot more rejuvenated compared to one of the tight ends on the other side. We'll get to that in a second, but he has some crazy stats as a pass catcher too. He's got more than 1,000 passing yards and like 100 and something catches. That's just wild. And probably if it wasn't for George Kittle's injuries, George Kittle would probably be up there, like, fighting for that number 1 tight end spot. Then you have the Tampa Bay receiving core. You have Cameron Brate, who has shown up, especially since O.J. Howard got hurt, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be back to you, which is unfortunate. You have Rob Gronkowski. Me catch ball when need to for Tom. Me also block for Tom. Me don't want to see Tom get hurt. Gronk, good friend of Tom. And you just have that whole receiving core. Let's take it down from the top, right? You got what's it called? You got Mike Evans, one of the best pass catchers. Like, if we're talking about pure pass catcher, as a guy that if you get into his huge ass wingspan catch radius, he is gonna come down like plus 80% of the time, which is bonkers. And unfortunately, that scene where it goes off his fingertips during the NFC Championship and causes Brady, I think, second interception. Just can't leave my head. I can't tell you how many times that's happened this season. And it's just, anyway. And you got Chris Godwin, who's like he's one of the better all around receivers. Like he has a great catching radius, as we've seen. He literally caught a ball like this, with like his arm and his hip, just securing the ball as he's falling backward on his rear end in the front corner of the end zone, which is wild. I think that was against Atlanta. Wild. I think that was the first game against Atlanta, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Anyway, he's not the best, but he's arguably top 10 route running receivers. The only other one I can think of as a comparison was I don't want to say Antonio Brown. I'm trying to think of not Megatron, because Megatron was more dominant. Like, he had that attitude. But you get what I mean, right? And then you have Antonio Brown, who's still listed as questionable. He was a full participation lately, so we'll see. But thank God he has not had a weird outburst this season outside of what's already happened since before he signed. So, arguably he wants to come back. Keep Godwin, please, for the love of God, keep Godwin. But he's a top runner still. He's shown spurts of athleticism still after finally starting to learn this offense and realizing that he's not the number one target. That's Mike, and he's like number 3. Then you have Scotty Miller, which, ignoring the whole betting on himself comment and the whole, that went way out of proportion. And it was just self-confidence of him. Y'all, literally, the media made him apologize for being confident. That's wild. Regardless, he can take the top off of defense as much as well as Tyreek Hill has as well. That's something else to look at. I can't really say much about Tyler Johnson because he doesn't get enough reps. Same with Scotty, really. If I haven't seen what Scotty did last year, I probably couldn't make the evaluation I'm making now. And to be fair, I didn't mention Nicole Harmon on the other side, but he has his spurts. He's not really to take the top off of defense. He's known for like different like short intermediate routes and sometimes the occasional jet sweep because he has the speed to do it. He did it in the AFC Championship game. So no, I'm not ignoring him. I just don't know enough about him in detail to make a proper judgment on that. So, like, just for depth wise, I want to give the edge to Tampa. Y'all gonna say it's another, oh my God, he's rooting for his home team and stuff, but depth wise, I think the Bucs are better talent wise. Coaching wise, Andy Reid makes the wide receivers and mismatch better. So if we're going like how they're used, I would probably lead on the side of Kansas City of how they're used. But if we're talking about pure talent, I would argue Tampa all day long in this edge. Coaching wise and how they're used scheme wise and how they're used the best abilities, Kansas City. Pure talent wise, Tampa. I guess this is a chance to flip the script and go to the defensive side of the ball. And where to start? I'm not as familiar with the Kansas City. Whoops. Secondary. I know like Frank Clark and stuff like that. Who is their linebacking core? Is a good question. Is it gonna say the rosters? Current roster. Here we go. All right. So let's start with defensive backs for Kansas City. You got Bashaud Breeland, which is the name I honestly haven't heard of in a while. And you got Tyrann Mathieu as like the big names, right? And I don't recognize any of these other guys. Like, if I'm gonna be real, like maybe Daniel Sorensen, yes. Daniel Sorensen, yes. Just there's a reason why the Honey Badger is named the Honey Badger. He's just a ball hawk. It's he's just as an individual player, he's wild. He has a nose for the football. He's gonna be where the play is gonna be. And Bashaud Breeland, I'm not gonna call him a shutdown corner, but he's up there, like up there. I would say top 15. I think their pass rush makes up for the shortcomings, to be honest, in the secondary, but that's neither here nor there. Let's look on the other side. And, you know what? It would probably be fair for me to pull up the Bucks roster as well. No, because I'm not going to remember. I know Bucks roster pretty well, but it'd only be fair. Oh, God, that was the 3-13 season. Oh, go back. Oh, that was the young great. That was the young great era of Ricky Morris. Ugh. Oh, just keep going. Oh, just give me to the 2020 season. Alright. Where is... Wow. Here we go. Let's take this apart. Carlton Davis has been softly been a shutdown corner. Like, let's just face it. Jamal Dean's fast. He's gotten better. He's probably going to be the one. To be honest, he's going to probably be the one on Tyreek Hill if Jordan Whitehead with him or Mike Edwards. Sean Murphy Bunting. He's had interceptions. People are gonna argue, oh my god, he was holding. Like, really? Like, yes, he was holding. I'm not going to deny that, but a little bit of this is not as egregious as this. You know what I mean? Well, let's just face it. If we're being honest here. When they call pass interference, especially in the playoffs, it has to be like super egregious. It didn't interfere with the route, and that's what most referees are caring about. Just saying. Antoine Winfield Jr. has been a ball hawk. You can say the same thing about Jordan Whitehead too, if he's 100%, which we don't know with the shoulder. That he's staying after forcing that fumble on Aaron Jones in the NFC Championship. But Antoine Winfield Jr. has been like amazing as a second round pick out of Minnesota. But this you can say the bias too, but I think just Carlton Davis and the combination of Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead, and Antoine Winfield, just those three combined, I think makes up for the shortcomings that Sean Murphy Bunting has come up in big games, but he still isn't as consistent as Carlton Davis and Jamal Dean. Better, but it's still, if I had to compare the two, like their defenses are very similar. At least the secondary is very similar. I give the edge to Tampa. I think because Carlton Davis has shown that he can be more of a shutdown corner than, what was it, Bashaud Breeland? I literally just had the roster. And is it Breeland? I'm pretty sure it was Breeland. I haven't heard that name in ages. Yeah, Breeland. I was right. Go me. Let's continue. Let's stick with the not the secondary, but the linebacking core, right? The front seven. If Vita Vea, right? Actually, wait. I said linebackers, didn't I? They play interchangeable, but they mostly play 3-4 now. So if we look at Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, Shaq Barrett, and Levante, arguably they're one of the best linebacking cores. Like JPP and Shaq are more pass rushers, yes. But both of them have been proven well in coverage. JPP, with a club hand from the fireworks accident, has had, 2 picks this year? I just want to say that again. With the club hand, he's had 3 picks this year as a pass rusher. It's wild. All right, Devin White has been showing out, not so much in the NFC Championship, but I think he's also a really good pass rusher. He's shown a lot up out in the blitz. Devontae David is always being slept on, so nothing new, right? Compared to the linebacking group of Kansas City with Willie Gay, you got Darius Harris, Damien Wilson. I don't know who's the starter. That's actually a good question. Who's the starter? I'm assuming Willie Gay, Darius Harris, and Hitchens, right? I think those are the starters. I've never heard of the other 3, so let's go with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about the linebacking core, and that should say something by itself. If we're going to be completely honest here, wow, the Wikipedia page is literally just him. Back when he was at Mississippi State. Yeah. If you want me to be honest, Taco Charlton? That's wild. I didn't even know he was on this team. I thought last I checked he was still in Dallas. That's wild. Alright. Then let's look at the more obvious pass rush at the defensive line, right? You got Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, never talked about enough. And those are the main ones I know. I could talk about Alex Okafor. I could talk about Capasington. I actually really liked Tano Passinon. I think that's how you say his name. Out of college at Nova. I actually really liked him in the draft. I had the Bucks drafting him so many times. And he did get drafted by Kansas City, right? Yeah, he was the 2nd round pick in 2017. He actually played with a buddy of mine who went to Nova too. It's honestly the reason I even knew who he was, because I actually did watch a bunch of Villanova games, because I had a buddy of mine who went to Nova that I've known since elementary school, and I have a buddy of mine who went to James Madison, and they're both in the CAA conference in FCS. Anyway, I'm getting off track again. But honestly, Frank Clark and Chris Jones, you can put Derek Nottie in there too. But those are the 3 you really should pay attention to, because this is the beef of the defensive line. If we're talking about offensive line, this is a top 5 defensive line. I'm not even going to argue that. Frank Clark, Chris Jones by themselves is a force to be reckoned with. I think they're going to have a harder time than they assume with the offensive line for Tampa. But if we're just going off of pure talent, top 5, just unit. I don't think their depth is as good, but definitely up there. And then we'll go look at Tampa. If Vita Vea plays, because he wasn't even supposed to play a lot of snaps. I think he's projected to get 10 to 12 snaps during the NFC Championship. He played 33. So if he's 100%, wild. He's not your traditional pass rushing. He's just a nose tackle, but he takes up space, and he's going to take up at most double blocking every other play, just how big his presence is. And looking at the Green Bay game in the NFC Championship, when he was in there, they got a lot more effective pass rush because he was taking up more blocks up the middle, which is saying something. Sue at he's listed defensive end, but he can play anywhere on the line. Is probably the only other William Goldston is more of as a run stopper on the edge, so I really wouldn't say much about that. But Sue is in the same boat as Vita Vea. Sue's probably more of the pass rusher than Vita Vea is. I'm hoping he's able to teach Vita Vea more because they had similar structures physically. Similar, not the exact same, obviously. Sue's a lot more skinnier, I believe, but still. I see Vea as like a Hawaiian, like a Hawaiian, is he Hawaiian or is he Samoan? Can't remember. I know he went to Washington. University of Washington, I should say. Trying to look at 347 pounds. Oh, he's from California. I feel like I insulted him. Sorry. All Pac-12. I mean, when he has almost a full season. Let's look at his full season right here. 2.5 sacks and coming from the nose tackle. I forgot he had a receiving touchdown, a la Warren Sapp, but I forgot about that. That was great. If you want me to be honest, I'd probably give the edge to Kansas City in this. But to be fair, if we're talking about the front seven, I would give the edge to Tampa. Because I think the linebacking core is just that much better than Kansas City's. But if we're talking about just the defensive linemen, the Derek Nottie, Frank Clark, and Frank Clark. Why do I feel like I got that wrong already? Yeah, no, Frank Clark and Chris Jones. As honestly, if you, in my opinion, 2 steps ahead of the Tampa defensive line. I think that's it. Yeah. So overall, if we're talking, the very close together. Let's just be honest. They're very close talent-wise to each other. I believe if everything I think they're tied in individual systems, and I didn't forget about the kickers Bradley Pinion, Ryan Suckup, Harrison Buckner, and Tommy Townsend. I think honestly Tommy Townsend. I thought. Hold up, let me look at the. I thought Dustin Cole quit. Why does Dustin Cole quit? Ringing in the back of my head. Patrick O'Mame's on the practice squad? I'm getting distracted again. If we're looking everything out, it's Darrell Williams. I think I said Damien Williams. I meant Darrell Williams. I apologize for that. This is why I need the roster in front of me. If you look at each position group specifically, they probably are tied out with everything like this and that and whatnot. But I still give that edge to Tampa. Now, do I expect Patrick Mahomes to pull some magic? Yes. Do I expect this to be a high-scoring game? Yeah. Excuse me. I am going to predict, and I'm going to write this down for myself. And it's going to be a Tampa 38, KC 31. Actually, you know what? I give them 34. 34. Whoever has the ball at last is going to win. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, no matter how good these defenses are. It's my opinion. And with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this pretty long Alberto Sports Talk. And yeah, hope you enjoy the game like I am. Not panicking. Panicking.